We're trying to finish the job. Personally, I look at that complex, it's not a school facility. It's a benefit to the entire town of North Smithfield, and we all need to take advantage of it. Programs, not just for school children, but for seniors and anyone else who wants an opportunity to exercise and recreate. So, as a member of the Parks and Recreation Commission, I've helped apply for funding through both the Champlain and the Levy Foundations. And unfortunately, we haven't had any success just yet. We're trying. But the message we got was that if you want to succeed, if you want some funding, that you've got to show some support. John, I think you mentioned it. We've got to get some skin in the game. And there's a precedent for that. I understand that the library in Barville didn't get any grant funding until the town funded it. And after the town got some skin in the game, you know what, they moved forward. So that's what I'm asking you, as both a taxpayer and as a representative of the Parks and Rec Commission, to do, to help fund a concession stand that'll help turn that athletic complex into more of a community asset. Get some skin in the game. We can't put our hand out all the time. We've got to put it in our own pockets too. Benefactors help those who help themselves. So when we talked about those shortcomings a few months ago and the value of Parks and Recreation in North Smithfield, I asked you to think about providing value. I want to live in a town that appreciates and promotes parks and recreation. Please, minimize the negativity, diminish the naysayers, help us move forward. And the only question I have is certainly not how can we afford to fund that concession stand, that seed money, but how can we afford not to? Thank you.
Brian Van Hal, please.
Good evening all. Brian Van Hal, 135 at Socket Hill Road. I'm here to ask the town council to honor a tentatively agreed upon 2.9% increase by the contract negotiating committee members for the fire and rescue department. This small $19,803 is over the town administrator's 2.2 suggestion, and only $16,957 over the budget committee's recommendation. This small $20,000 will enable the fire and rescue department to provide a greatly deserved and certainly earned pay raise for the men. I'm strongly advocating for the council to agree upon the 2.9% tentatively agreed upon, because in the grand scheme of things, we feel this is a minuscule amount and feel very justified and necessary request. Thank you.
Brian?
Yes.
I gotta call you out on this, all right?
Okay.
That was the agreement, and that was thrown back at us, right? The other day, that was thrown right back at me and the administrator. That was the agreement we had, but then we're getting phone calls and all of a sudden and emails saying that was unfair, and what happened?
Well, unfortunately, the finance treasurer isn't here to back me up or with some...
I'm not blaming you.
Yeah, I understand.
Give some insight.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on. I saw a couple of the emails myself. I haven't heard any responses from the person who initiated it, so I'm at...
No, my understanding was the board turned that down. They didn't want the 2.9.
At the last meeting, correct. I'm here to ask that it be considered.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. President, if I could just correct, my recommendation was 2.8, not 2.2.
Yeah, yeah, all right. He was saying, Dan and I came up with the 2.9, it was the administrator that was at 2.8. Just, that's irrelevant, I mean, for the record. Okay. I think that exhausts the list, am I correct?
Yes.
If anybody changed their mind and would like to come up and say a few words, I'll give you the chance. Anybody want to come up?
Mr. President, may I?
That's right. Excellent. Mr. Paul Jones is a member of the school committee.
Hi, good evening. I'm Paul Jones, 9 Oak Lawn Road, and I'm a member of the North Smithfield School Committee as well. And thank you for giving me a chance to jump on at the last minute. So I just want to reiterate some of what's been said here tonight, mostly about the amazing progress we've been able to make over the last few years and what we can continue to do if we do invest in our schools. We've created CTEs designed to broaden horizons and give students more options for educational excellence here in town as opposed to out of district. We have taken real steps, finally, towards closing Hollowell and updating our existing school buildings. We're living up to the promise of our schools and living up to the promises we have made to our students when we promised them the best possible public education that we can provide. We cannot afford to move backward now. I appreciate that budget choices are hard. And they always are. They always are. However, it's times like these that I think about why I moved to North Smithfield in the first place. And what I say to people when they ask me why, out of all the possible choices available, why did I choose here to raise my family? And the first thing I say are great schools. Now, as Chairman Lombardi mentioned during a little bit earlier tonight, we in the present are paying for the negligence of the past. It's through ingenuity and perseverance we've all been able to work together and really start digging the district out of the hole which had been created. Our teachers, administrators, and students have continued to shine and have brought North Smithfield High School to be the 4th best school in the state, which is an enormous achievement with all things considered. Now, there are threats to that growth and excellence that are still looming. We are losing students to other programs with more robust CTEs and pathways programs. Special education costs are growing. We're still playing catch up with deferred maintenance. And with that in mind, I'm asking for the council to consider fully funding the school district's request. I'm asking for you to remember those 2 words that drove so many of us to choose North Smithfield, and the 2 words that you have the power to keep proving right. Great schools. Thank you.
So what we're going to do is we're going to keep the public hearing open until next week, in case there's any changes or anything that anybody wants to comment on as we go through. Next week, next Monday night is when the council will take the budget, and we'll make our recommendations to the budget, on the budget. And at that time, I will allow comments from the public. Anybody in the council have anything to add before we move on? Regarding the budget.
Mr. President.
Oh, Mr. Wazowski, I'm sorry.
We do have difficult, difficult decisions. And I want to emphasize something. Anybody here remember walking through the woods to find a site for NSCS? Anyone? Yeah. I do. I wanted a new elementary school for North Smithfield in 82?
Yeah.
We're sitting in a building tonight that I don't think I'm being boastful when I say that I was a major part of getting done as the chair of the committee that passed this legislation or this referendum. I believe in adequate and not just adequate, excellent schools. I also believe in a proper budgeting system, a respectful budgeting system. And I think the problem that we've had here tonight, or in this process, is that we haven't respected that process. And I am disappointed in it. Because it's typically, you know, it was quoted earlier that my recommendation was 1.89. It's not. My recommendation was 2%. And that's based upon simply the inflation rate that has existed in our economy for a number of years. Unless you're a government that prints money, running ahead of inflation is a bad place to be. It doesn't work. That said, we need things. I'm prepared to advocate for the things that we need, including schools. As I look at this budget process, what I had seen is based on the 4% request that was made by the school department, not what appears now to be something closer to what should have been a 6% request. What we saw was a 4% request. And we saw ways to mitigate some of that based upon increased state aid of $129,000 and lower cost of health care. If you do the math, that makes the recommendation a 3.3% increase. It doesn't make it all okay, but we all should be bothered, I think, by not starting the process from the proper beginning. We need to have solid information that puts us all on the same path. And it may sound critical, I have to be critical, because I believe in the process that we've been in, and I've made recommendations based on what I heard. I've attended almost every budget hearing and budget committee meeting, and in particular, I did witness the school department's proposal, and the belief that a 4% number would work. Now we're hearing that it's not that, and I'm disappointed in it. Now, the council will have to make a difficult decision, and we can talk about some of the things that go forward. But just like it's difficult for schools, you know, as many people as have sent me postcards, or even the number of people that are here in the room tonight that are advocating for an increase in spending in schools, I've heard at least double the number of people complaining about the road surfaces throughout town and how much we need to spend in that venue. And the council knows that I have advocated, based on the fact that we have 60 miles of roads, it costs us $400,000 a mile to resurface them, based on the $2.8 million that we just spent, and advocated that we be able to do 2 miles of road every year. I could easily simply say, I want to see $800,000 in the road budget today. I can't, because I know we can't do it as a community. Not when most of our folks are only seeing 2% increases in their revenues. This is not easy, and I just will encourage the council to hear everything that needs to go through the budget before making decisions on any piece of this, to make sure you know, like the budget committee already does know, what's behind every one of these numbers and the difficult decisions that you're going to have to make as you vote on this budget. Would I like to see our schools fully funded? Absolutely. I'd love to see our schools fully funded. I worked as a school committee for 7 years to do that. And I don't want to see them go backwards. But we have an entire town to fund. We have, at this point, pretty much stripped our third-party billing fund that has purchased. We've had to, in order to re-roof a fire station, we've had to go to that third-party billing fund. In order to buy 2 new trucks, we've had to go to that third-party billing fund. We've got more trucks to buy. I could be advocating for another $800,000 in buying trucks and saying that the town absolutely has to have it. I can't do that. I'd like to. There's a lot that would be great, but there are some tough decisions that need to be made, and we need to do them with all of the numbers in mind. I just encourage you to look at every line in this budget before making a final decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a recess, and before we move on to the next item on the budget, on the agenda, and if anybody wants to stay, you're welcome to stay. If anybody wants to leave, us give you an opportunity to clear out.